Music like radio.
So I am super excited today to be talking to a guy whose career that I have personally followed since he brought garage onto the scene 22 years ago. It's only the legendary Craig David. Hi.
Fiona, how are you? It's good to hear you.
It's brilliant to see you today. I'm so excited. And check you out. You have been doing this since you were 16 years of age. That's right, isn't it? How do you stay so relevant?
Do you know what? Like, it's kind of crazy how fast the years have gone. I love music. I genuinely do. Like, I live for it. So it's just, I guess, kind of being able to reinvent yourself and be able to accept that no one wants to hear you telling some old story about what you used to do back in the day. Like, what are you doing right now? And I think that's kind of served me well. So I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm a new artist today. What do I need to show up and show and prove? And then it seems to connect, which is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have been around for such a long time. And with the release, with Rewind, with The Artful Dodger, it must seem like a million years ago. But that's what sort of catapulted you to stardom, followed by like 2 number ones, the number one album, and then the tour. So that must have been so thrilling. Now, I know you don't like to hark on about the old days, but does this feel like it's still as exciting to be in the industry nowadays? Has it changed much since the Born to Do It days?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? In some ways, it feels the same. I think like I appreciate everything I did when I first started off. I just realized that like you just need to just be present. Do you know what I mean? Because we tend to love to tell stories of like, this is what I used to do and I played here and I did this, and it's all ego driven. But if you can calm yourself down and be like, okay, talent, like what music are you creating right now? And then to have all these new songs and to have new music and like obviously the arena tour next year, an album. So I'm in a really grateful place that I can be as youthful as I was when I was 18 or 16 when I first started. But I've got the wisdom of where to put my time and energy into, as opposed to wasting it on things that just didn't really serve me way back then or even now. You know what I mean? So I'm just really just on it. I'm just back on my 16-year-old game again. I'm just having fun, enjoying life.
You look like you are just thrilled to be back doing what you love. But obviously the past 18 months have been like no other. You said you've been busy writing and things. Did COVID disrupt many of your musical plans?
Do you know, I think it disrupted everyone's plans, just full stop. I mean, it was like one of those things that was a real put the brakes on. And I think once I was able to just make sure that my friends and my family are okay and how I could play my part in my little neighborhood and my community and make sure everyone was cool, you started to realize that, okay, well, I need to be creative in some way. So if that was playing a board game, or if that was printing things out on your printer and making it pictures and frames, or if in my case was making music. So I kind of found it really very cathartic because I was able to take my time. And in that process, it reminded me of how I did my first album. There was no rush. There was no one was waiting for anything for me. It was just like making music again. So it proved to be a time that I think creatively, if you could find that spark, it was great. But also I recognized how blessed I was that like there was a lot of people affected really badly through that time and still are affected. And if I can give a little glimpse of happiness through the music that I've created in that period of time, then we're winning here, you know?
Did you actually get some downtime then in the pandemic, or were you just like literally rushed off your feet? Because I read somewhere that you took up gardening. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, it was downtime. It was like downtime and then, okay, rock up. I've got a home studio. So you go into a studio and then you go back down in your dressing room and you go back down and you relax and then you come back up. So it was no time frame of stuff, which was great. And then gardening became something that I just found really therapeutic and also very healing, because as a metaphor, I just realized there was so much to take from gardening. Like, you have to be patient. Things don't grow 100 miles an hour. In the same way as like the ebb and flow of life, you have to wait. You have to nurture it. If you overwater it, you can kill it. If you underwater it, it'll die. It's the same as relationships. And I realized that like if you can honor nature's always trying to tell us and tease us these things, but we tend to be like rushing and we miss it. So I came out of it thinking, wow, okay, maybe there's some relationships that I overwater. Maybe there's some that I need to put more time into because they're dying because I'm not giving them the time. So I came out of it a lot more wiser, I guess, from my plant life.
Did you talk to your plants and did they give you good answers?
Do you know what? The funny thing, they weren't speaking in the same language, yeah, but I would definitely have convos where it'd be out loud.
Yeah.
And the way that they heal in different ways, they'll just like, when you're getting a good night's sleep, and you're like, so you feel like the air is just fresher in the room, or you wake up and you don't feel so groggy for something. They work in that way. They're not going to be like, yo, Craig, let me just tell you a quick story here. I know how you feel. Remember when you watered me a bit too much the other day? Can you just they have a different way, but I can definitely feel it for sure.
And you did turn 40 this year, looking fabulous on it, may I add.
Thank you.
Are you still into the gym as much as you used to be? I'm getting up to 40 now myself, and I am going to the gym more. But I did have to scroll back a very long way on your Instagram to find a tops off picture. Are you hiding a six pack under the top? Are you still at the gym and as active?
Do you know what? I mean, those days I was going like crazy. I was on some next level of fitness. But this is a great thing, I think, for everyone out there. Is that everyone has a six pack underneath. Yeah, there may be a few layers of fat underneath, but if you didn't have a six pack yet, trust me, your stomach would just fall out, like, period. So if that makes you, so for anyone out there who's thinking, oh, a six pack, you have one. It's just that it might be slightly covered up. Do you know what? I'm not doing it as crazy as it was before. For me, it's more staying healthy, keeping the body ticking over. I think my shows actually are my cardio. I give everything in my shows. And also just like making sure that it's balanced, because otherwise you do so much on the training, and you can end up injuring yourself, and then you end up sort of thinking, well, wow, while everyone else is out having a great time, you're thinking, well, you pushed it a bit too much. So I'm just always conscious just to find the good ebb and flow of life, you know.
No DOMs there. And obviously your new single, Who You Are, with the MNEK. Tell me about that. Was it something that you've been planning for a while? How did it come about?
Yeah, I mean, it was more of it was very spontaneous. I mean, we were in the studio together. When I worked with MNEK, it tended to be like a lot of vicariously through other people. I'd get a song and it would be like James Hype would say, look, there's a song I've got called No Drama that I've started the sketch vocal, MNEK's on it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'd end up finishing it. Same with the KSI Really Love song. It was like it had the vocal there, and I was like, I was MNEK on the thing, and then I ended up cutting the vocal. So he's always been part of my journey, and I was just like, when are we going to get on a record together? So when this happened, for me, it was like, finally, like, we're on the record. I love his voice. I think what he sung on this record is timeless and angelic, and there couldn't have been anyone better to be with me on this record to really bring home the message of inclusion and acceptance. So it's a special record for me, and I'm just so happy that he's on it, you know.
I'm glad that you've noticed that the vocals are insane on it. So before we carry on, let's take a listen. Craig, would you please do the honors and introduce it for us?
Yeah, pleasure. This is the brand new single from yours truly and MNEK, song entitled Who You Are.
I just wanna get to know you, know exactly who you are. We build it up so we can break it down, just to tear it all apart. Who you already know that you're a star, but I just wanna get to who you
Who You Are by Craig David and MNEK, and I am joined by Craig right now. And I think you nailed it with this one. Even my mum is a massive fan after it was on Strictly. Was it nice to be performing live again?
I loved it. I mean, Strictly is such a huge show, and just the way in which there's such a wide audience and a variety of people who are really there to watch the performances. They want to see the dance routines. So when you get the opportunity to perform on there, and you actually have to take it in, like how many households that you're in when you're performing, and people who wouldn't necessarily be looking for your music, they're coming across your music. It's just an incredible moment for me when I get those opportunities to perform on big TVs like that. And everyone was just like, wow, the vocals.
It was so befitting as well, the dancers to it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, they were fantastic. They really were.
And it is the lead single to be taken from your new album coming out on May the 13th next year, called 22, to celebrate the 22 glorious years that you've had it in the industry. You must be so excited because it is the first album since 2018's The Time Is Now.
Yeah, I really am. I feel like it's been like a labor of love throughout lockdown. Like I said, I had time to record this album without there being any rushing or kind of having to hit a certain deadline. And I feel like that kid who made his first album Born to Do It. I really do. Like it's really been hard to get the songs like down to fit the 12 songs I want on the album. I mean, because I've got so many, and it feels like we're really going song for song that could be single. It's not, okay, you've got 2 singles and there's an album. And I don't usually hype it like that, but it really feels like, wow, this is one of my strongest like bodies of work because I've had so much time to actually make it. So
I'm so
yeah, it's gonna be vibes.
Are there any ballads? Is it sort of garagey sound, R&B? Is it just very reflective of your life right now?
You covered it all. We've got the ballads, and I'm again really choosy with like make sure that the ones that land. You know what I mean? Like you can hear ballads, but ones that hit. There's some garage on there. R&B is the box is ticked heavily. It just feels like a strong body of work that feels cohesive. It feels like one body. It doesn't feel like it's you just got loads of songs all thrown together. And we've got some good singles. But this latest one, I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, when you just want to swim in it and not be, okay, we've got to get to something. Let's just swim in this because this is just feeling right now.
It's going to be hard to top, isn't it? But next year, it's just going to be so big for you, Craig, because obviously we've got the album, which we just talked about, to look forward to. And April, you are finally getting to tour the Hold That Thought tour. My friend has got tickets for it. She's like, I have waited like 2 years to go and see him. Have you missed that side of the job?
Do you know what? It's been the hardest part as a performer and someone who just loves to be on stage, to be away. But more importantly, the real uplift I get is seeing the fans and people come in and enjoying themselves. When I go to a festival, and I got to catch the tail end of that this year, when you're seeing people together and they're with their friends and they're having the time of their life, you're like, this is what this whole thing is about. Like, that's it right there. So the fact I can get to do my own arena tour and actually have people come and hear those album cuts that they really want to hear, not just the singles. They're like, no, can you play the tune from... And I'm really aware, I listen to what the fans are saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I see an album song keep coming up, I'm like, you know what, we might have to drop this one tonight here. So it's going to be very, very vibey. It's going to be nice.
And you don't take anything for granted after COVID, do you? But will you still have time for your festivals and your Ibiza stuff as well next year? Or will that just be maybe a bit too much with the tour?
No, you know what? I'd like to think it's going to be like full throttle. I mean, like the arena tour, the album dropping, like I said, in May. I hope we get back to Ibiza Rocks to do my pool parties. Amazing. and festivals will be on full blast. It's going to be full. So that's why we got to get ourselves together, get ourselves ready, still keep the body moving. A little bit of Dom's action can go on. You know what I mean? Don't get twisted. We can still make sure we feel a little bit of that for the next couple of days. And then we'll go out there and do our thing.
You are going to be so busy. I'm so excited for you. And lastly, before I let you go, Craig, 22 years of great success, including an NBE and so many other strings to your bow. Is there anything that you still want to achieve that you feel that you haven't yet?
Do you know what? It's such an amazing question that I genuinely have come to a real sort of epiphany that in life, that it's these moments where we get to talk to each other and connect is what the whole spice of life is. Like, if you miss this and it's all like getting to a destination and obviously let me talk about my album and let me drop you the single and let me talk about my tour. Okay, cool. That's information. We'll get to that. But actually just having this convo with you, I want to have more of this because this is the real part of it. And then you make everything memorable. Then you remember when we spoke and then it leads into the music. So I'm just good. I'm just connecting in relationships and vibing with people. It's cool for me.
Well, it's absolutely brilliant to see you. Best of luck for everything that you've got going on next year. Thank you so much for chatting as well, because I've honestly boxed off one of my bucket list to-dos today. So thank you so very much. Ladies and gents, Mr. Craig David.
Fiona, thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. You're an absolute star. I love it.
Like radio. Like radio. Like music. Like radio.